Melitop, outskirts of Zaporizhia. Early morning, 3/10/2025. 0530. From the southern watchtower, the Russian commander spotted an old UAZ crawling slowly along the fence of the base in the Melitop industrial zone. As on previous occasions, he ordered a patrol team to inspect and clear. That routine order opened the curtain on a chain of calculations that had been meticulously prepared and would become the fatal mistake of his career. The abandoned warehouse sat on the edge of the industrial zone, less than 300 yards from the main intersection. To intelligence, it was no longer an anonymous warehouse, but the operational hub of the Lancet team, the storage for attack UAVs that had been inflicting losses on Ukraine for weeks. The electronic perimeter defenses covered kilometers, giving the Russians confidence that any outside bait would be silenced. They had not accounted for the human factor and the art of deception. (0533). The Russian patrol awkwardly inspected the abandoned UAZ. The smell of rotten fish and sacks of potatoes disguised as trash made them believe it was merely civilian refuse. In the dark, 3 HUR agents in a nearby alley watched every move. 4 cheap FPV UAVs lay dormant in the warehouse, along with the heavy hitter, a heavy Baba Yaga concealed and linked to a backup Starlink. Underground, a TM-62 pressure plate sat ready, waiting for the convoy's wheels. Two FPVs were launched like an invitation. Russia's JTEL jammer reacted strongly. The 2.4 GHz band was blinded, but this was exactly what the Ukrainians expected. A fake IFF signal appeared on the Russian EW console. The jammer operator believed their system had just taken down a hostile target. To lend credibility, a cheap firework detonated near the intersection, creating a bang and a streak of flame like a fallen UAV. The commander ordered recovery of the wreck. A $2 million military truck loaded with Lancets rolled out the gate, escorted by 7 soldiers. The truck's front wheel had just passed over the trap's mouth. The TM-62 plate lay less than a hand's breadth from the tire. The script was complete. The bait, the false signal, and now the real prey moving exactly into position. (0542). From their hideout, an encrypted command was sent via Starlink. The Baba Yaga did not fire a rocket. It emitted a high-intensity laser beam sufficient to trigger the TM-62 mine from about 300 yards. A blazing red beam, 500 degrees Celsius, and a surgical detonation occurred. The front axle was torn apart, the steering system and control lines vaporized. The $2 million vehicle reduced to a 40-ton mass of trapped metal on the road. Chaos erupted. The patrol fired blindly. The DSHK machine gun drew curtains of flame. Command reports scrambled with calls of IED and secondary explosion. Meanwhile, the Baba Yaga took off for the finishing blow. A sacrificial FPV dove into a high-voltage line, causing an electrical explosion that temporarily blinded the optical sensors of the Russian Orlan 10. The golden moment for the heavy UAV to approach. The AI pilot executed a straight dive, a devastating armor-piercing strike. A high-speed molten copper jet sliced through 8-inch armor, penetrating the storage holding more than 20 Lancets. chain reaction followed. The depot erupted into a 2,000 degrees Celsius fireball, swallowing equipment, killing many soldiers, and neutralizing the DSHK. In the final 70 seconds, the scene turned to ashes. The hunters returned to find only a crater and a towering column of black smoke. The 3 HUR agents had disappeared into a prepared civilian tunnel system. Surveillance devices were crushed, radios abandoned. The trap was complete. Immediate strategic consequence. At Melitopol, the towering column of smoke stood as a silent call for the resistance forces. On the Zaporizhia line, Russia's ability to launch more than 20 Lancet sorties per week was eroded, indirectly saving the lives of soldiers and civilians. Post-battle calculations showed that Ukraine spent only about $1,500 USD, a UAZ, a few FPVs, a TM-62, and some auxiliary items, while Russia lost a $2 million USD depot, more than 20 Lancets worth $700,000 USD, and a strategic advantage potentially amounting to tens of millions of USD in the coming weeks. Chernihiv, October 4, 2025. After a string of defeats at Molotov, Russia launched a retaliatory strike. On the southbound railway line, a Ukrainian train with multiple freight cars rumbled forward. In the night, the locomotive switched on its headlights. The railway staff leaned close to the glass to observe. No one thought that Russian forces had deployed a new logistics hunting tactic: suicide drones, UAVs, tailing the train, waiting for the right moment to strike. (1:35) On the thermal scan screen of the Ukrainian patrol team, small bright dots appeared, heat traces from Russian UAVs tracking the train. They avoided the headlights, approached the locomotive, and forced the train to stop. After the train halted, the UAVs dived into the freight cars. Multiple collisions and explosions occurred in the night. At the scene, Ukrainian railway workers and rescue teams rushed to extinguish the fires. Locals described the scene as metal debris, oil streaks, and black smoke columns rising to obscure the sky. The Chernihiv Regional Prosecutor's Office later reported that the train carried grain cars, and while there were no casualties, about 26,000 people lost power and several trains were temporarily suspended. (2:10) Under the headlights of the Ukrainian patrol unit, UAV fragments and burn marks lay scattered. Eyewitnesses said they saw machines emerging from the darkness with chilling precision. An officer on site remarked, "This is a tactic aimed directly at the logistics lifeline to cripple the flow of fuel and food." Reports from Russian-affiliated sources, pro-Moscow channels, provided more details about the UAVs used, Geran 2 models or similar types, capable of carrying large warheads, reportedly 90 kg, and operating effectively at night. These accounts claimed the strike destroyed several fuel cars, freight cars, and Ukrainian military equipment. Ukrainian authorities confirmed that the railway network was disrupted, with clear economic and logistical consequences. This tactic struck a critical vulnerability. Railways are the logistical lifeline of Ukraine, especially with many airports and other routes blocked by the conflict. The fact that a train was attacked deep inside the territory showed Russia expanding its targets, not only striking static infrastructure, but also hunting mobile targets, such as trains. As dawn broke, Ukrainian investigative teams collected debris, checked heat signatures, and attempted to reconstruct the movement chain to trace the attack's source. At nearby stations, locals and railway staff worked to mitigate the aftermath, restoring electricity, moving leftover cargo, and resuming transport schedules. Strategic consequence: a single night of attacks could paralyze a transport line, inflict material damage, and disrupt the supply chain in the rear. The Bobrovica incident marked an escalation, where Russia used UAVs to directly assault Ukraine's logistics network, causing ripple effects beyond the immediate scene. Looking at the bigger picture, it is clear Russia has chosen Ukraine's railways as targets, while Ukraine strives to keep its logistical lifeline from being severed. This is another battlefield, silent but no less destructive than the gunfighter on the front lines. Personally, I feel this event exposes a stark reality. Modern war is not only fought with tanks and artillery, but also in places that seem peaceful, like railways and train stations. That is what makes the fear and the pain feel closer than ever. Thank you, dear audience, for accompanying, listening, and following every page of this report. Your attention is the driving force for me to continue bringing stories from the battlefield. Stories sometimes painful, but necessary to tell so that we may better understand and cherish the value of peace.